Welcome back to our channel. Today I wanted to introduce you to our latest violins for the month of November. I'm going to start right here on this side with a very nice violin by Curt Widenhouse. This is actually the first violin we've had from him, although we've known of him for a long time and his work is very well regarded. This violin is from 2020 and it was played for the last few years by a well-known jazz violinist. This, as you can see, is a new looking violin. Rather than antiqued, but it looks fantastic. Now, Curt is one of the biggest names in American violin making, and he has many top players who really advocate for his instruments. I mean, Ray Chen being the most famous of them. And yeah, but his list of players is vast and long, and now playing the violin, I understand why. It's definitely it's a powerful instrument, has a lot of edge, has a lot of bite, projects extremely well, and is perfect for a sort of solo repertoire. Next to that, we have a violin by a young maker called Milina Schmoller from Germany. This is the second violin we've had from her, and although it's a different model than the first, in many ways it's quite similar. So in terms of the style, they're quite immediately recognizable, which is great for makers. You want to be able to look at their instruments and immediately tell that it's by someone specific. And the sound characteristics also, so I would qualify this one as being, it's very responsive, it's very clear, it has a very warm tone, is very easy to play, quite a rich sonority, and yeah, just overall a very versatile instrument, I would say. Some things that set it apart from the previous one we had is, so this one is a Guarneri model, and it has a bolder antiquing style, I would say. The ground is this very beautiful golden color, and then you can see this sort of dark brown varnish here with a lot of gouge marks, and yeah, tons of character in this one. A very good violin by a talented young maker. Next, we move on to a very nice violin by McWilliams, who is a Canadian violin maker, but who makes in Berlin, in Germany as well. This is also the second violin we've had from him. This time, the same model twice. This is a Lord Wilton model, as was the first one, but with a slightly darker look, I would say. You see it's beautiful antiquing here in the F-holes, in a way, a very typical Lord Wilton model. And here's some very nice antiquing on this very beautiful piece of wood, this one piece back. This violin is definitely on the darker side. I think the focus is on the low end. The G string is phenomenal. The D string is also very good. Playing double stops everything feels very resonant. It feels very warm and open. A real pleasure to play this one. Over here in the middle, we have a violin by Dominic Vilk, who is quickly becoming one of the best known names for violin makers here in Europe. He was a pupil of Guarneri for a long time and has now since established himself quite a lot, has a very long waiting list and sells to very high-end players. He makes fantastic violins. This is actually his personal model, which he makes exclusively. So he sort of, from one to the next, they're very similar. Now the antiquing changes a little bit. As you can see, this one is a very bold type of antiquing. You can see that there's almost no varnish left on the back, for instance, just a little bit here on the sides and top. But what really speaks volumes is the beauty of the wood and the ground and the workmanship that went into it. In particular, a nice unique feature on this violin is that it has two wings here on the side, which add to the antique aspect of it. The front also very bold, very creative. We really like makers who make their own personal models and who sort of work on that, develop it, and then over the years, and then get to a point where they sound as good as this one does. Fantastic violin, a real all-rounder. It projects with ease if you need it to. It can also blend very well if you needed to. So I think, again, would work quite well in really any setting. But yeah, the violin speaks for itself. Now here, we have our very own violin from our workshop here in London, our Atelier MyLuthier. This is the 12th violin that we've made. And if you've been following us for a little while, you might notice that we're using, at the moment, a slightly darker varnish. We're experimenting a little bit more with a bit more antiquing on the front. You can see there's a few more details here and there. And then, yeah, overall, a darker look on the back. You can tell the ground also is quite dark. Really brings out the flames of the wood. And here, a very beautiful pattern here in the middle. Along with the look, I think that the sound of this one is also on the darker side. Again, very big open G string, very nice to play on. D string, even if you go up higher in the registers, it sounds fantastic. And yeah, these have been very popular here in London. And we actually have two at the moment, which is quite rare. Usually we never have more than one, but at the moment we have this one and we have one from our previous generation of violins, and it's quite useful to be able to compare them both visually and acoustically. Now over here on this end, we have a violin by Daniele Tonarelli. Again, if you've been following us for a while, you've probably seen his name come up quite a lot. He's one of the very first makers we ever started working with, and he is still one of our most popular makers to this day. And for good reasons. I mean, the violin, they're really good. They're very well made, you know, in the Cremonese tradition. This is a Guarneri model that for the last few years we've been exclusively having from him. I just think it works really well. For me, as a violinist, I feel like it's his most all-round model, so you can really do anything with it. It's very balanced, it's very even and uniform throughout, so you feel like the G string, the E string, you could play a very long scale and you just feel like it's the same timbre throughout. But yeah, if you need, it also has tons of nuance, tons of colors. If you start exploring a little bit with his violins, you really get to see why he's so well known. And lastly, we have something quite unique. So this is a violin by Giovanni Chiaravalle. He is, I should have started with this, but he is obviously, this is an antique violin, so not something that we do that much, but it's a stunning violin from around 1820, a little bit before. And Giovanni Chiaravalle was a maker who made in Tuscany for a very short period of time, only about 4 or 5 years. And because of that, there are actually extremely few violin examples left at the moment. We have one of these here. You can see that the making is very nice, but it's very fine making, but it has some rustic elements. For instance, the choice of wood here, the carving of the scroll, really adds to the charm. The sound is excellent. It has that typical Italian twang that we think of. It projects super, super well. Definitely a more soloistic, punchy instrument, I would say, and one that I've been enjoying playing on for the last week or so. So yeah, these are the new violins that we have here for the month of November. In the next video, I'll actually be playing on all of them, so you can hear them and compare them for yourself. Stay tuned for that one, and see you there.